revert back to English. Buenas noches desde el helicóptero, yo soy Eliana Moreno reportando sobre una persecución policíaca que se encuentra en la autopista 5 en dirección sur, cerca del este de Los Ángeles, acercándose a la Boulevard Olympic. Esta es la patrulla de caminos de California que está persiguiendo a este vehículo, una Kia Optima, porque creen que es un vehículo robado. Es una persecución que empezó en el sur de Los Ángeles con el departamento del alguacil, pero ahora es la patrulla de caminos de California que lo está persiguiendo aquí en la autopista, ahora en la autopista 710 en el área del este de Los Ángeles. Southbound 710 there. So I was just saying in Spanish how the pursuit is now getting onto that southbound 710. So we'll revert back here to English real quick. So basically 710 from the 5 going over the Commerce Train Yard. Cool. There we go. Let me get back on it there. Just had to do a little housekeeping here up in Youth Shopper 4. So we're southbound 710 coming up to Bandini. We're going right over the Commerce Train Yard. I'll actually widen out so you can see what that looks like. There you go. And he may be exiting. Let's see what he does. No, he pretended like he was going to. That would have gotten him off there at Bandini, but instead he's going to continue on. Again, this is the California Highway Patrol that is in pursuit, but this started as a pursuit in sheriff's territory in the Century area of the county, which is essentially South LA. And the pursuit made its way up into East Los Angeles, where the CHP took over since it's been on the highway for most of the time. It did enter the streets in the downtown LA area for just a bit, and that is actually where he ended up in a lot, and there was no way out, but his only way out was to crash through 2 fences. He did it. I'm surprised the car was able to withstand that. And then he rammed a police vehicle, so he's going to be wanted for assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer, in addition to driving a stolen car. So let me widen out. I want to see how many units of the CHP are behind this thing. I'm counting 4. So there's 4 units of the CHP behind this car. There is, of course, the sheriff's helicopter overhead. They were the first aerial unit on it, so they're staying on it, although this is now a CHP pursuit. We could get the CHP unit out of Fullerton, and I think that'll only happen, though, if the sheriffs were to run out of gas. But for now, sheriff's overhead, CHP behind. The car is a Kia. Unclear how many people are in the car, but speeds are, they're increasing. Look at that, about 80 miles an hour or so. So right now the freeway is relatively not too busy. Light traffic conditions in both directions. I actually have a friend who is making his way up that 710 right now, northbound on the 710, leaving the Lakewood area, trying to get up into the valley. So this pursuit is coming in the opposite direction, but you can see southbound lanes there on the bottom of your screen. Southbound lanes are on the top of your screen. Northbound is on the bottom. So this pursuit currently finding its way here southbound on the 710 freeway. It's a pursuit that started roughly in the South LA area, so he is headed back in the direction where this all began if he continues headed south. And for those of you listening at home on the scanner, I am hearing that they're switching frequencies on us from the yellow to the blue, so if you want to change with me so that you can hear the chase as it makes its way southbound. We're approaching Firestone Boulevard, again now in the Southgate area, southbound on the 710 freeway. And once again, thank you to everyone who's joining us on NBCLA.com, Roku TV, Apple TV, and all of our streaming platforms. You can always find us. Just search for NBCLA. It's completely free. If you have a smart television, that's a great place to do it because you can watch us on the big screen. as we continue to follow this chase of a possible stolen Kia here on the southbound 710 freeway. Coming up to Imperial Highway, that's going to be the 105 freeway. And thank you to everyone who is reaching out to me on social media, on Twitter in specific. Thank you to my friend PubScan LA for retweeting our NBCLA.com link for this pursuit. We appreciate you and appreciate everybody who is watching. We were first on scene. Saro would like me to point that out because he is a very efficient fast pilot. And so we were first on scene here, and this pursuit continues southbound on the 710 freeway at the 105. The night sun over the vehicle, CHP units behind the car, sheriff's helicopter overhead. So again, this is a stolen car, so in terms of whether officers know who's driving, it's really difficult for them to know, because if they run the plates on the car, it's just, if the plates are still the correct plates, it's just going to lead them to the rightful owner of the vehicle. But a lot of the time it's those situations where you hear us say that it's a cold-plated vehicle, which means that the plates on the car actually don't match the type of car that it is, and it looks like you may be exiting. So we're entering the Linwood area. It looks like you may be exiting off at Rosecrans here. So 710 South and Rosecrans Avenue in Linwood. I would venture to say he's familiar with this area because this is actually very close to where it all began. And from covering police pursuits, we know that drivers tend to return to an area that is familiar to them. So we're back essentially where it began in LA County Sentry's area. And he's just completing the transition there, 710 and Rosecrans Avenue. So we're leaving the 710 there at the bottom of the screen, making that swooping transition to exit here into the Linwood area. You can see that this is going to drop him into a residential area. You can see the homes there on the top of the screen. As the California Highway Patrol continues to chase this possible stolen Kia now here in Linwood. Okay, they're going to be exiting. He's got the red there making that turn. Now, if there was ever a time for a pit maneuver, that would be a really good one. Look at how wide open the street is here. Coming up to just a little bit of traffic here as he makes that right-hand or northbound turn there from Rosecrans, entering the Compton area now. Now, real quickly, I'm just going to say a few words in Spanish for our sister station Telemundo before resuming our coverage in English. Once again, thank you for watching us here on NBCLA.com and all of our streaming platforms. Buenas noches desde el helicóptero. Yo soy Eliana Moreno reportando sobre una persecución policíaca que ahora se encuentra en el área de Linwood. Es la patrulla de caminos de California que está persiguiendo a un vehículo Kia presumiblemente robado. Es una persecución que empezó hace una media hora en el área del sur de Los Ángeles con el departamento del alguacil del condado de Los Ángeles, pero la persecución era tan peligrosa y a velocidades muy altas que el departamento del alguacil decidió no seguir el vehículo desde la tierra, pero siguieron persiguiendo el vehículo desde el aire usando el helicóptero hasta que la patrulla de caminos de California continuó la persecución en las autopistas, pero ahora se encuentra en las calles de Linwood. Al momento se desconoce si el conductor es un hombre o una mujer, o cuántas personas pueden estar dentro del vehículo o de dónde fue robado. Pero como pueden ver, la persecución continúa aquí en las calles de Linwood, en la avenida Atlantic, acercándose a la avenida Rosecrans, donde el conductor tiene una luz roja aquí y va ahora a hacer la vuelta hacia el oeste con, hay que contarlas, con 5 vehículos de la patrulla de caminos de California detrás de él, y también el helicóptero del condado de Los Ángeles del departamento del alguacil en el cielo sobre el vehículo. Reportando desde Compton, desde el helicóptero, yo soy Eliana Moreno, Telemundo 52. Alrighty guys, back here in English for you. Thank you for allowing me to do that real quick there for our sister station Telemundo. We are now in Compton. So we're Rosecrans Avenue and Bradfield Avenue. Once again, if you're listening on the scanner at home, I'm listening to it on the CHP Blue 3 frequency. If you want to listen there. I know a lot of the scanner hounds like to listen with me. So as a fellow scanner buff myself, I just want to share the love there. So CHP Blue is where you can listen to that. So we are still in Compton, Rosecrans Avenue at Mayo Avenue. This is a Kia Optima, I think was what I heard. It's kind of hard for me to tell the color. I would venture to say it's silver. And I think I'm seeing some sparks. So, oh, that was kind of a close call there. I could have sworn I started to see some sparks flying from the vehicle. There you go. There's a few more. So something is dragging. Either something is dragging or he's got a flat somewhere. So we'll keep an eye out for that, see what happens there. Of course, he's got the damage to that vehicle from when he crashed into not one, but two fences in his effort to get out of a sticky situation that he had gotten himself in. He had driven into a lot with no way out, so his only way out was to crash into those fences, and he got out. But in so doing so, he also is going to get a charge for assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer because he used that vehicle to ram a CHP unit. So what was just a stolen car pursuit is now stolen car plus assault with a deadly weapon. So he's just racking up the charges here. And every time he runs a red light or he runs a stop sign, all of that is counting against him as well. So hanging a U-turn here, hanging a U-turn on Rosecrans Avenue. Gonna head back the way we came here, now in Compton. Red light. Fortunately, that red truck. So big shout out, of course, to my pilot, Sarah Garbetian at the controls of News Chopper 4. We were the first news helicopter over this pursuit. They were trying to go for the pit there, but they just didn't have the momentum that they needed. Right next to the train tracks here in Willowbrook. So in terms of spike strips, because I know that's something we always talk about, it has not been mentioned. And really the only reason for that is he's had no rhyme or reason to his driving. It's very random. They can't really establish a pattern. And until they can establish a pattern, it's just not going to be a possibility for them to try to figure out what way he's going to go to be able to deploy those. So for now, it's just going to be a follow from behind and try a pit whenever the situation is right. And I think they're going to go for it now. So it looks like he knew exactly what they were trying to do. So just behind that building, they're trying to go for the pit. It's kind of a narrow street. I would actually, if I was a CHP officer in this situation, I think I'd wait for a slightly wider street. He's approaching Alameda, Rosecrans and Alameda, a much better street to try a pit. It's much wider. They're asking for permission to pit here. There's really no other traffic, so there's a car here or there. If there's a bunch of cars parked along the sides, they're not going to try it either. But right now, this is actually, it's a pretty good stretch of the road. My only concern is he's going a little bit fast. Ideally, they want him to go about 35 miles an hour. So he's a little on the fast side for a pit. And now there's a little bit of traffic. So let's see what he does. He doesn't want to wait for traffic, so he's going to run the red and make that turn onto Compton from Alameda. Again, this is an LA County airship overhead, LA County Sheriff's airship overhead, CHP behind the vehicle. Coming up to a red light with some traffic. I think the train's gonna come through. Yeah, the train's about to pass through. So Compton and Acacia. And there we go, slowing down just a touch. Again, for a perfect pit, you're looking at speeds at about 35 miles. Anything slower, he'll be able to drive out of it. Anything faster, he could get seriously hurt. So for that reason, they have their ideal speeds. All CHP officers are pit trained, so they can all do it. Hit the dip there. He's in a residential area. He's going a touch too fast here for a residential area. That's pretty nerve-wracking. Okay, coming out of it, gonna be going down an alley perhaps. Yep, there you go, going down an alley. Leads me to believe he knows where he's at. This CHP officer really not giving him much in the way of room. Okay, back on Compton Boulevard. Approaching a red light. So the CHP officers, they will follow him through a red light, but they're going to try to clear the intersection the best that they can because they obviously don't want to cause a collision and chasing after this guy through a red. Compton Boulevard and Dwight. So we're still in Compton. Okay, approaching Tejada. He had a green there, fortunately. Okay, let's see what he does. He slowed down there just a touch for some reason. Northbound turn on to Central next to a yard. It looks like a pallet yard of some sort. He seems to be relatively familiar with this area, which is pretty much where it all began, kind of the South LA area. It was a Sentry division of the LA County Sheriff's Department. Approaching Rosecrans. Central and Rosecrans going to be making that westbound turn. And thank you guys for reaching out to me on social media. I am getting your messages whenever my reception gets well enough. So if I see any questions pop up, I'll try to answer those for you. And if you're just joining us, this is a pursuit that started in the sheriff's jurisdiction of Sentry, which is in roughly South LA area, a stolen Kia. I think they said it's a Kia Optima. And the chase got to the point where they went into surveillance mode, which means they pulled all the ground units off, and then it was helicopter only until the CHP got behind it, because the pursuit was on the freeway for quite some time. We were on the 710, we were on the 10, we were on the 5 before he exited on the surface streets, and now we're back in sheriff's territory. We're in Willowbrook, but because CHP's already on it, they're going to stay on it. And relatively light traffic conditions here. These are surface streets though, so you see he's still going relatively fast for surface streets. He's been running reds, running stop signs. He has significant damage to the car because at one point he drove into a lot in the Boyle Heights area where there was no way for him to get out unless he crashed into 2 fences, and that's exactly what he did. And in the process, he also rammed a CHP cruiser, so that's going to get him a charge for assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer for using that deadly weapon, i.e. his car, or the stolen car, to ram the officer. So he's got that going for him. He's in a stolen car. Unclear how many people are in the car. The car at times has shown signs of wear and tear. I've noticed some sparks coming from the car. Unclear what was causing that. In terms of him having a flat or anything, I don't think that's what did it. So for now, continuing here off of Figueroa. So we're right next to the 110 freeway here in South Los Angeles. Okay, approaching Compton here on Fig. You see those units standing by. That's what's called Code 100. They just kind of stage up ahead, help with things like traffic control. He's got the red here, so let's see what he does. He's not afraid to run it, and that's exactly what he did. So running it here, Redondo and Figueroa. We've still got CHP behind him, and we've got the sheriff's helicopter overhead. Okay, he's hard on the brakes here. Sorry. Thank you. We're just... Okay, cool. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, we were shooting through the ball. We're into Wilson, Sorrow. Okay, back with you guys here. Our signal dropped out there just for a moment because we're sending our signal to Mount Wilson, and our camera ball was getting in the way. So hope we still have you there. Main Street now at Lennon. We're in the Rancho Dominguez area of South Los Angeles. So apparently some East LA units of the CHP were still in this pursuit, so they're having them drop out. They'll be replaced from units by South Los Angeles. Rosecrans from Maine. Well, still kind of shooting through the ball there, Tim, if you see us drop. That should help right there, Sorrow. Or, yeah, because we're not shooting through the ball anymore. I said, you're good. We're not shooting through the ball anymore. We were there for a moment, but... Okay. So Rosecrans and Avalon, we're in Willowbrook. Thank you to my friend Michelle Ford, who is keeping tabs there on my signal. So I appreciate the help there, Michelle. And thank you to everyone who continues to watch us here on NBCLA.com, Roku TV, Apple TV, and all of our streaming platforms. Rosecrans and Parmalee Avenue here in Compton. Yeah, so he's wanted for 245 on a PO. That's assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer. That's just the police code for it. And so he got that when he rammed into the CHP unit, when he drove into that lot. Approaching Wilmington. Air 24 from the LA County Sheriff's Department is still the unit overhead. Rosecrans and Hickory here in Compton. he seems to be slowing down just a little bit here. I think it's just because there's maybe a little bit of traffic coming up, perhaps. Okay, here we go. Coming up to the light. He's got the green. I find it interesting that he's slowing down so much. Wrong side of the road here for just a moment. Officers aren't going to follow him the wrong side of the road, but it looks like he's actually getting into like a residential area now. He could be looking for a place to ditch the car and take off running. We see that a lot in pursuits, especially when they return to an area that they're familiar with, an area where the pursuit began. And this isn't really far from that. It started in LA County Sheriff's Century area, which is roughly the South LA area. He's just going to come out on the other side next to that police car. He's Mona and Mealy in Compton. That's a residential area. Slowing down just a little bit here, even though he's got the green. So I wonder if perhaps the car is starting to give him trouble, or perhaps he's starting to run out of gas. Again, this is a stolen car. It's unclear how long he had it for before today. Okay, coming back out to Alameda, which is the major here through the area. Okay, right under the thing, the overpass there. Okay, he's really slowing down. I think he's probably running out of gas. Because the car itself doesn't look to me like it's having issues. It looks like he has all 4 tires left. Yeah, really slow. I don't think he's going this slow by choice. Just hung a U-turn there. I don't really see anyone in the passenger seat. Coming right at us. This has really been my first opportunity to try to peek inside. Throwing the infrared there for just a moment. And that doesn't really help. Let me get back out of it. Yeah, I'm not seeing a front passenger. Unclear if there's anyone in the back, but at least in the front, I'm not seeing a passenger. Gonna make another U-turn. That same little stretch of road here, just off of Rosecrans. Okay, Spring and Peck. So residential area. Kind of working his way gingerly around, so unclear if it's because he can't go any faster or if he's looking for a place to ditch the car. Let me just recap this real quick in Spanish, guys, and then I will get back to our coverage in English. Buenas noches una vez más desde el helicóptero. Yo soy Eliana Moreno reportando sobre una persecución policíaca ahora en el área de Compton, que ahora va a velocidades más despacias que lo que habíamos visto antes. Es una persecución que ha durado ya aproximadamente 1 hora de un carro robado que empezó en el área del sur de Los Ángeles con el Departamento del Alguacil del Condado de Los Ángeles, y ahora es la Patrulla de Caminos de California que está persiguiendo el vehículo. Pero ahora estamos viendo que las velocidades están creciendo aquí en Compton. El vehículo es un Kia. Al momento se desconoce cuántas personas están adentro del vehículo o si el conductor es un hombre o una mujer. Y es una persecución que ha estado en la autopista, pero también en las calles, por mínimo la mitad de la persecución. Y continúa aquí en el área de Compton. Back with you guys here in English. So while I was doing my Spanish report real quick, I did see that they threw a spike strip in front of him. I didn't think he ran over it though. I think he was able to dodge it, and he also picked up speed there for a moment, which is interesting because I thought he was maybe running out of gas or maybe starting to have some sort of vehicle issue, and that's why he was slowing down. But he was able to pick up speed quite easily. So it may just be a choice why he's going this slow, now about 30 miles an hour here in Compton. Okay. Alameda and Elm. Okay. Alameda and Rosecrans again. Yeah. Good point. Yeah, Sorrow was just saying this would be a perfect time for a pit. Yeah. And doing them on turns like that is actually really ideal. He's been on this stretch of road before, so he's got to be familiar with them rather. So again, Rosecrans Avenue at Compton. People are starting to hear about this pursuit. You can see that they're coming out to take a look. So Rosecrans and Willow coming up to a red. Making a U-turn. A very slow one at that. They won't do a pit here just because there's cars parked along the road. Okay, making that turn there. I don't know what the thought process is behind what he's doing here. If he's looking for a place to ditch the car, this is as good as any. He's been circling this same neighborhood now for quite some time. Taking the bump there slowly. Okay, Tucker at Santa Fe and Compton. Southbound on Santa Fe now. Air 24, the sheriff's helicopter, still overhead, and you've got CHP behind him. He's picking up a little bit of speed. He's got the green as he enters the intersection of Rosecrans. Oh, there we go. I think that front passenger tire, I think is starting to give him issues. I'm seeing sparks flying. I think he probably does have a flat on there. You're starting to see that the car is basically starting to fall apart. If I could speak, so the car is starting to fall apart on him. I can see tire tread is starting to go. He's starting to drag that front bumper. Approaching the red light, Compton and Santa Fe. He took the red and is making an eastbound turn. So I'm hearing that it was a good spike, which means he ran over that spike strip that we saw, and that's what caused his tires to start to deflate. through the red light here. Want to push in here so we can look at the damage. Yeah, I think he's missing that front tire. But that rear tire doesn't look too great either, so hard to tell. I think so too, Jack. Yeah, it looks like rims on the passenger side of the car. Yeah, I think he's lost both tires on this side and just has the tires on the driver's side of the vehicle. So that's probably what's going to bring this to an end, is simply the car falling apart on him. But even then, it doesn't mean it's over. A lot of the time, these things turn into barricade situations where the driver just refuses to get out of the car. The longest pursuit we ever had a similar situation like this actually involved a big rig, and that lasted 12 hours because even after the vehicle had come to a stop, the guy just wouldn't come out. Long Beach and Golden in Compton. Okay, he's slowing down here. So the CHP units are trying to get the Sheriff's Department to pull its units off of it because some units were still in the mix. And once you give a pursuit to CHP, they want to be the only agency on it. But they're not the only department that does that. They just want to, whoever the lead agency is, they want to be the sole one behind a pursuit. So in this case, they're asking the ground units that were here for LA County to back off. They are leaving their airship, though. And we're still in Linwood, Long Beach Boulevard at Cedar Avenue. If you're listening on the scanner, I'm hearing it now on LA County Sheriff's Sentry. Northbound Long Beach, right under the 105 freeway. He'll pop out the other side. There he is. So we're roughly in the area of the 710 and the 105. Thank you to my followers on Twitter. Sometimes there's things that I am unable to see because my monitor's pretty small up here. So thank you to Rob Emery, who noticed that the car did run over the spike strip. So thank you for that, Rob. And verified one good guy. Thank you always for your support as well. Yes, we will see you at the next air show. We're still in Linwood. I'm hearing them talk about trying another pit. I won't say exactly where, just in case he's got a buddy who's listening to our broadcast and then is relaying the information, or he's watching our stream or something of that nature. So for that reason, we won't say exactly where, but where we're at right now is Long Beach Boulevard here in Linwood. He's slowed down a lot. You see the speeds there, about 25 miles an hour. I think he's only got the tires left on this side of the car. The other side does look pretty flat to me. Looks like he's down on the rims. He's coming up to a red. And is going to be hanging a westbound turn onto MLK from Long Beach Boulevard. Let's count the units of the CHP that are behind this. Okay, it looks like we have 6, because there's another one just turning the corner. And then we've also got Air 24, which belongs to the LA County Sheriff's Department, over the pursuit. For a time, they were the only ones on it because they had gone under surveillance mode, so that's when they pull all the units off of it and just let the airship handle it. But eventually, CHP said, we want to get involved, and they got behind the car. So that's who's been behind it since. It's been a lengthy pursuit. It's been about an hour. The car is a Kia. I believe they said Kia Optima. So we're entering the Southgate area. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so Saro is noticing that up ahead, really, it's a pretty open road. There's really not too much in the way of traffic. So really a perfect time to try a pit. My only concern is he is going a little bit slow, so he might actually be able to just drive right out of it if they do pin him. But then again, they could have information that is preventing them from trying it. For example, let's say they know he's armed, then they wouldn't want to do a pit because they wouldn't want to put an officer in a situation where they would be pretty much nose to nose with an armed suspect. So for that reason, then they wouldn't try it. But I have heard them say that they are pit approved and allowed to do it. So I think it's just a matter of time. There's the sheriff's helicopter. So we are Norton and Santa Fe Avenue in Linwood at a crawl. He's either got his hazards on or he's got his turn signal. Hazards, thank you, Saro. Yeah, the other one's on too. So residential area here. Coming up to a T intersection. And gonna be making the left-hand turn here onto Fernwood Avenue from Santa Fe Avenue. Approaching Imperial, which Imperial Highway runs parallel to the 105 freeway to give you a better idea of where we're at. So essentially the 710 and 105 is pretty close. For those of you who are just joining us, again, this started as a pursuit in the LA County Sheriff's Century area, which is essentially the South LA area. And they believe that the car is stolen. The car is a Kia. Hard for me to tell if it's silver or gold in color at this time of night. Also unclear if anyone else is in the vehicle other than the driver. I haven't seen anyone in any of the passenger seats. Definitely didn't see anyone in the front, but unclear if there's anyone in the back. And he is also now wanted for assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer for ramming a CHP unit. And pardon me for just a moment, guys. I'm going to check our fuel. Saro, can you tell me how much time we have left? An hour 10. Jack, if you can hear me on the microwave, we've got 70 minutes left, 70. Okay, we're at State and Virginia in Linwood. We were just relaying our fuel situation. Essentially, with our helicopter, we can get about 2.5 hours on a tank before we have to go back and refuel. Most of about an hour left for you guys. We were the first to use helicopter overhead though, so we might be the first to leave. Hopefully not. Hopefully we'll be able to bring you the conclusion of this pursuit. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Again, Sarah Garabetin at the controls of News Chopper 4. Yes. Making a turn here onto El Segundo Boulevard from Santa Fe. We're still in Linwood. We're Peach and El Segundo now in Linwood, so residential area. Apartments on either side of the street. Still CHP that is in pursuit. I can tell by looking at the door of the squad car. If you're listening on the scanner, this actually moved to an LTAC. So your scanner might not have an LTAC. So if it does, there's a chance you might still be able to hear it. Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Jack. Jack Noyes there at the assignment desk. Back at Universal City telling me that what he's hearing is that they did get a good spike on the right side of the vehicle, which pretty much confirms what we saw, which is the passenger side of the car. It looks like both of those tires are pretty much gone. He's down on the rims on those. So he's just got the two on the driver's side. He's got his hazards on for some reason. You can just see some of the sparks. They're starting to fly here. Passenger side of the vehicle as he is down on the rim because he did run over at least one spike strip, maybe two. Again, CHP in pursuit, sheriff's overhead. He's in a residential area of Linwood. It's always concerning when pursuits go through a residential neighborhood because people could be out and about. The good news is that it's pretty cold out here in Los Angeles tonight, so the chances that people would be walking around are pretty slim compared to a warm summer night. Back on the major, Long Beach Boulevard. Sorrow is racing up ahead to get us closer to the front here. And thank you to everyone who is joining us on NBCLA.com, Roku TV, Apple TV, and all of our streaming platforms. You can always search for us on your smart television. Just search for NBCLA. And whenever there's a breaking news situation like this, you'll get a notification. You can watch us on the big screen. This has been a lengthy one, I'll give you that. Been about an hour or so since this began. Started with LA County Sheriff's Sentry Division, and then moved over to the CHP as it was on the freeways for a while. It was on the 710 as well as the 10 and the 5 before exiting onto surface streets where it has been ever since. And now he's in Linwood, right under the 105 freeway, popping out the other side here. Long Beach Boulevard and the 105. Wrong, let's see, no, right side of the road there. Thought he was gonna go wrong side of the road here for just a moment, but nope, he's right side of the road. Long Beach Boulevard at Sanborn Avenue in Linwood. And for those of you who are watching us from outside of our viewing area and you're wondering where Linwood is, it's essentially near South Los Angeles. So from downtown, it's to the southeast. Patrolled by the LA County Sheriff's Department, but it is still the CHP that is in pursuit with a sheriff's helicopter overhead. This is the side of the car that we believe has the flats. So let me swing the camera over there. There you go. So you can look at the rims there. So he's got no tires left on this side. He's down on the rims. There was a point in the pursuit where he basically boxed himself in. He drove into a lot in the Boyle Heights area where he had no way out. So what he did was he rammed 2 fences to get through. And then, again, in an effort to escape, he also rammed a CHP cruiser. So with that, he's getting a charge of assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer, in addition to stealing the vehicle, of course. So still relatively slow speeds, setting up for the left-hand turn. And he's completing it. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yes. So Sorrow says there's a big roundabout coming up. Should be just ahead. We'll see him get there. There we go. So back in a residential neighborhood of Linwood. Poplar and State. Long Beach Boulevard and Los Flores Boulevard in Linwood. And speaking of viewers from outside of our viewing area, thank you to one of our biggest fans, Jeff, out of Illinois. We thank you for your constant support. I know it's late out there, and you're still up to watch with us, so we appreciate you, especially on this Valentine's Day. Continuing Long Beach Boulevard at Louise, so still in Linwood. So that means that for at least the last 30 minutes or to see some more sparks coming there from under the vehicle, because again, he's missing the two. And all of a sudden decides he's going to take off. So that's why we're seeing those sparks flying. That could have been why he was going so slow, knowing that if he went any faster, sparks were going to start to fly. Just made that left-hand turn there onto Carlin. We've been on Carlin before. That's a pretty small street, so maybe an area that's familiar to him. Pretty narrow street here. We're at Bullis Road. I know Bullis is Compton, so now we're in Compton. Still good on the driver's side. The tires are still intact. Passenger side, I think he ran over spike strip, so that's what did that. And making another left-hand turn here. I believe this is going to be Tucker from Bullis, residential area of Compton. And he's slowing down significantly here. Okay, we're starting to see some more sparks. Bradfield and McMullen and Compton. Again, if you were listening on the scanner frequencies with me, it is on an LTAC, so unless you have those, it's not going to be possible to hear them. And they only moved to an LTAC because this has been going on for so long. They don't want to tie up their main channels. So that's what we're experiencing here. I know it's getting late. It's 10:15. We do have the NBC4 News at 11 o'clock coming up here in the next 45 minutes. If you guys can stay up with us. If you can't, I understand. We're going to have an update, of course, on the termination of this pursuit on Today in LA tomorrow morning. My counterpart, Roland Spreewell, at Fire Guy in the Sky on Twitter, will be in News Chopper 4 come the morning. I know he's waiting for this to finish so he can go to sleep. I understand it's getting late, and it's been a lengthy chase. Been over an hour. And initially it was a fast mover on the highway, and we saw an assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer when he rammed his vehicle against a CHP cruiser. But since then, it's really slowed down, mostly on surface streets in the Linwood and Compton area. In fact, this has been going on for so long that the residents are well aware of it. A lot of them are coming out of their homes. They're up on the sidewalk to see the pursuit go by. I'm sure this is going to end up on their social media, guarantee you that. But of course, you never want to get involved in these situations. Of course, there's nothing wrong with looking from a safe distance, but there's times when people will try to get involved. They'll walk up to the car, or they'll be in another vehicle and they'll try to box him in. So never do that, because you never know if this person is armed, and you wouldn't want to put yourself in a dangerous situation, and you wouldn't want to put the officers in a dangerous situation either in their efforts to protect you. So the best thing you can do is just simply watch from a distance. If you're in another car that goes by this pursuit vehicle, simply pull over to the right. Once the pursuit goes by you and you can safely rejoin the street or freeway, do so at that point. For now, though, continuing here on surface streets in Compton. Now, I've watched a lot of police pursuits in my years, and the one thing I can't figure out on this one is why they won't do a pit. If they know he's armed, they won't, but I did hear on the scanner that they have permission to do it, so that's the only thing I'm a little bit curious about. It'll be interesting to perhaps find out after. We here at NBCLA always try to follow up on these pursuits and get you the backstory behind it all. So hopefully that can be an answer that we can get. Compton Boulevard at Ward. And once again, thank you to everyone who is not only watching us on NBCLA.com and all of our streaming platforms, as well as our sister station, Telemundo 52. I am getting your messages on social media, so if you're sending me a question, I'll try to answer it. If you're just, yes, if you are sending me comments, I will try to get to them as well, so thank you for that. Of course, our friend Michael, one of our biggest supporters, so we thank you. Lisa Lavender, of course, and then Rob Barrientos, thank you as well for your continued support as we continue to watch this chase here back in the Rancho Dominguez area. So we were here before, we're here again. There's been a lot of streets that we've gone over once or twice. Leads him to believe that he's familiar with the area. That's just how these things work. Drivers tend to return to an area that is familiar to them because they don't want to drive into a dead end. They don't want to put themselves in a situation where they're basically trapped, which is what had happened to this guy when he was in Boyle Heights. He essentially drove into a lot where there was only one way in and one way out, and it was covered by CHP officers. So he had to ram through 2 fences to get out of that lot. And it did cause significant damage to the vehicle. It's not what gave him the flats, though. He ran over spike strips to get those. He got those once he was on surface streets in the Linwood area. So on the passenger side of the car, he's missing both of those tires. On the driver's side, those still are car. I would venture to say it's just one. That's all I've been able to see. I don't see anyone in the passenger seat in the front at least. And at this point, we do believe that the driver is a man. Yeah, copy that, Jack. Can we try to get on the driver's side, sir? Thank you. Perfect, thank you. Yeah, let me confirm. Sorrow, it's 10:25. How long do you think we can stay? Hey, Sorrow, how long do you think we can stay? On scene, or? Okay. Hey, Jack, another hour, because we're going so slow and we're moving, so another hour. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Carlin. Yeah, we're back on Carlin. I'm back with you guys here online. We were just figuring out our fuel situation there. Wanted to know how long we could stay up here for you. It's all based off of fuel, of course. We've been able to conserve a lot because it's been moving relatively slow, and we're on the move. We haven't been hovering. Hovering does burn a lot more fuel than just moving. So at this point, we think we can get another hour out of it. Okay, just made another turn there. He has been gesturing out the window, kind of popping his head out here and there. Whoa, that guy was going fast. Wow. That would have been one of the closest calls we've seen. Okay, there he is. Hand out the window, gesturing. Sounds good. There he is, popping his head out. Making a U-turn. And a viewer, Annalise Hernandez, I believe. She just had a question if he was signaling. I actually think he has his hazards on, so that's what we're seeing. He's had them on for quite a bit. I don't know if it's intentional or if he just hit them and doesn't know how to turn them back off, because again, this is a stolen car. Unclear how long he's been driving it and how familiar he is with it. I feel bad for the rightful owner, because when they do get it back, it's gonna be significantly damaged. Okay, slowing down there just a touch. And he's turning yet again. Gonna be a right-hand turn there. A couple people there on the sidewalk who are super excited. Thank you, Jack. I think we just shot through the ball, but we're good now. If you're just joining us, this is a pursuit that has been going on for quite some time. I'd put it at about an hour and a half. It is a pursuit of a stolen Kia. I think Kia Optima was what we heard across the scanner. And this is the CHP that is in pursuit, but it started as an LA County Sheriff's pursuit and LA County Sheriff's helicopter overhead. They went into surveillance mode for a bit, which is when they pull all the units off and just let the helicopter follow. But it only remained in surveillance until the CHP got behind it. And it was a pursuit on the freeway for quite a bit. Oh, look at that. There's a woman who got out of her car. It almost looked like she tried to pass something to him or he tried to pass something to her. Unclear if they know each other or what her thought process was behind that. But you never want to do anything like that. You will be detained for interfering. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm concerned about when a pursuit lasts this long. Even if she didn't know him, then people in the area are hearing that there's a pursuit going by, and they think it's cool to try to get involved in some way. So you never want to do that, because you never know if that person is armed or can hurt you in any way. That's the night sun there from the sheriff's helicopter, Santa Fe Avenue and Pine in Compton. Thank you to Tiffany Arneson. I hope I said that right, Tiffany. I hear that the people want an update in Spanish, so we will do a quick update in Spanish for our sister station Telemundo and all of our viewers there. And then as soon as we're done, we can resume our coverage in English. Buenas noches, una vez más desde el helicóptero. Yo soy Eliana Moreno, reportando sobre una persecución policíaca que ahora se encuentra en el área de Compton. Estamos en la avenida Santa Fe, junto con la calle Tucker, donde la patrulla de caminos de California sigue siguiendo a un vehículo Kia Optima, presumiblemente robado. Es una persecución que empezó hace unos 90 minutos en el área del sur de Los Ángeles con el Departamento del Alguacil del Condado de Los Ángeles. Es una persecución que continuó en la autopista 710, en la 10 y en la 5, antes de regresarse en dirección sur en la autopista 710, y desde entonces ha continuado en las calles de Compton y Linwood. Al momento se desconoce cuántas personas están adentro del vehículo, pero hemos visto que el conductor es un hombre. Y como les digo, este es un vehículo que supuestamente fue robado. Al momento se desconoce cuándo esto ocurrió, pero la persecución ha llegado a altas velocidades, pero como pueden ver ahorita va bastante despacio, a unas 15 o 20 millas por hora. Y continúa aquí ahora en la avenida Rosecrans con la avenida McDavid. Y hubo un momento durante la persecución, será hace una hora, cuando estábamos en el área de Boyle Heights, cuando el conductor del Kia Optima se estrelló contra una de las patrullas una de las patrullas del Departamento de Patrullas de Caminos de California. Entonces, la persona que está manejando este vehículo ahora no solamente es buscada en conexión con manejar un vehículo robado, pero también por asaltar a ese oficial usando su vehículo. Al momento se desconoce si el oficial fue herido cuando el accidente ocurrió, pero como pueden ver, la persecución continúa aquí en Compton vamos a contar con 4 patrullas del Departamento de Patrullas de California y el helicóptero del condado del Departamento del Alguacil siguiendo a este vehículo, ahora acercándose a la avenida Mulberry y la calle Rosecrans Avenue. Reportando desde el helicóptero, yo soy Eliana Moreno, Telemundo 52. Continuing slow speeds here through Compton, Mona Boulevard, and Willowbrook Avenue. We were just doing a quick little update there for our sister station, Telemundo. And we are getting lasered now, so Saro, be careful out at about our 10 o'clock. I've got a green laser. If you are the guy with the green laser, you don't want to be doing that. That is a federal crime. I believe that's Willowbrook Park. It is a federal crime punishable by a year in jail or a $10,000 fee. So if you are the guy that is doing that, please stop. Mona Boulevard and Bliss Street here now in Willowbrook. And I'm hearing that my youngest little viewers, a set of twins, Ava and Riley, who I know love listening to our broadcast, especially in Spanish. I hear that they woke up from their nap just to watch. So my apologies to their lovely mom for that. But I know that they're big fans, so we love them up here. We do have the NBC4 News at 11 o'clock coming up, again, in about 20 minutes. So if this pursuit is still going on at that point, we will likely lead with it, so it'll be at the top. But of course, we'll continue to stream here on NBCLA.com, Roku TV, and Apple TV. In fact, let me throw that up for you guys so you can write down the information. You can search for NBCLA on your smart television, and whenever there's a breaking news situation like this, you can actually get an alert and watch us on your big screen. So once again, that's NBCLA and NBCLA.com if you are on the website, and of course you can always download our app, available in the App Store. And you can ask to get alerts, and you'll be alerted whenever there's a pursuit or any other breaking news situation. Yeah. Running the red here at El Segundo and Alameda in Compton. Yeah, that was a close call there, running the red. Now this has been quite the lengthy pursuit. It's if it continues till our 11 o'clock newscast, we're going to be looking at 2 hours. The longest pursuit that I ever covered would be the 12-hour big rig pursuit, but of course we pulled off of that at like 1 in the morning because we couldn't keep following that. The longest one that I've covered continuously was 6 hours, and that one was brutal because the guy was going about 5 miles an hour the whole time. So at least this guy isn't yet at that 6-hour mark, but we're still looking at about 2 hours here on surface streets in the Linwood and Compton area. And you can see him quite animated there. Let me go into some of my doublers here so we can see what he's doing. Kind of just erratic behavior. I know he's been gesturing a lot. Just made another turn there, Santa Fe Avenue and El Segundo. We've been here before. I think the reason that he's not driving too fast is that he's missing the tires on the passenger side. Because when he's tried to go faster, the sparks just go flying, and so he realizes that, and so he's going a little bit slower. Look at all the people there on the side of the road. Wow. I guess when a pursuit is going on long enough, it's easy to come out here and see it go by. And yeah, DJ True messaging me on Twitter. Yes, you're right. That 6-hour pursuit was a doozy a little while back. Santa Fe and Rosecrans looking at about 20 miles an hour on a car that's running on 2 tires and 2 rims. Okay, there's a car there blocking him. I don't know if that was intentional or what. I mean, he obviously ran the red, but that car slowed down a lot. That's the concern. When these pursuits go on as long as they do, people want to get involved, and you never want to do that. You can see that the car is starting to smoke a little bit, and it's simply because he's missing the tires on the passenger side. So it's just because the rims are dragging on the pavement. I'm hearing on the scanner that the driver is about 25 years old. He is described as a man. And no mention of anybody else in there with him. So it sounds like he is all alone on this Valentine's Day in that car. Copy that, Jack. If we get on that side, I'll be able to get it. This officer may be moving in for the pit. There we go. There's the pit. Finally. Looks like he's still trying to get out of it. Look at all these sparks flying, going right towards the officers. This is going to be another assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer. He's up on the sidewalk. Let me get out of the doubler here real quick because he's still trying to get away. Compton Boulevard in the Compton area. headed back in the direction of the officers. Wow, that was incredible. I was really surprised that the car didn't become disabled. And away we go again. Oleander and Compton Boulevard. We were waiting for a pit the entire time. They try it and it doesn't work. So let's see if they give it another. Compton Boulevard and Culver Avenue is still in Compton. Picking up a little bit of speed there. They'll happily try another pit, but they just have to wait till they get a open stretch of road. So they're not going to do it here. There's just too many cars in the intersection. He's running the red. Nope, he's not. He's going to turn. Well, he's kind of running it. He just didn't go straight. We're off of Alameda and Compton. Here we go. One more time. Let's try it. Let's see. Moving in for the pit. There he goes, spinning out of control here. But he ended up exactly in the direction that he was before. So he's still chugging along here. I'm really amazed that the car didn't become disabled, because usually with newer cars like this, when you do something like that, it immediately becomes disabled. So let's see, the CHP officer and the SUV going to try it for a third time. Picking up some speed, going to try it from the other side. Moving in for the pit, there we go. Let's see. Oh my gosh, third time and still going. Wow. Continuing Alameda and Elm, he's slow speeds, 3 pit maneuvers, beautiful ones at that, but still somehow able to continue driving. Let's go for a fourth, bumper ripped off. This might be it. Oh my gosh, I spoke too soon. There you go, gonna keep going. Continuing on Alameda and Elm Street here in Compton. This is still the CHP that is in pursuit, a very slow speed pursuit at that. You're looking at about 10 miles an hour, which could be why the pits aren't working, because it's a little slow. Normally they want to have a little more momentum. They're going to try to box him in instead, is what I'm hearing, since the pits aren't working. Yeah, okay, perfect. Thank you, Tim. Slow mover here, Alameda and Spruce. Let's see if he goes for another one or if he's just going to try to ram him and box him in. Here we go, 5th one, just on the other side of that bridge, and still trying to keep going. So you see, they're going to go for the boxing in method. Saro's going to bring the helicopter around. He's blocked in. They're just going to pull him out. But he's still moving, so the car is still in drive, but they apparently pull him out. They have him down on the ground. They're going to try to detain him now. And they still have to clear the vehicle just to make sure that nobody else is in there. Let me take the map off for you. You don't need that anymore. But where we're at is Alameda and Spruce in Compton. Ended on Alameda. We're going to zoom in on this guy. Okay, I'm going to try the other Doppler because this one's a little bit on the blurry side, so pardon me here for just a moment. It is, Tim. I'll take a check, please. I do hear you. Thank you. Okay, and here's our first good look at this guy. Man, almost 2 hours. And this comes to an end with multiple pit maneuvers here on Alameda, a nice wide open street. But somehow, some way, he was able to drive out of most of them until the very last one where they boxed him in. The fire department will come out here. They're going to check him out since he was involved in multiple collisions. They just want to make sure he's okay. And if he is, he'll be off to jail. If he's not, they may transport him to the hospital. Of course, with an officer with him since he is in custody. Alameda and Rosecrans are the majors. So what's happening now is officers are searching his person. They just want to make sure that there's nothing on him that could possibly harm them. And once they do a good search, that's when they can put him in the back of a squad car. While these officers search him, then they're searching the vehicle as well, just to make sure that nobody's in there. They'll even pop the trunk to make sure that nobody's hiding in the trunk. I can hear you, go ahead. Yeah, it was about 5. Yeah, 5. Okay. Cool. So we'll start with the live shot. We'll sit.